Loss of electricity is a big problem, but the more problem is heating. There is nothing that works right now in Russia as it should be. This crazy old man could use a nuclear weapon. They watch propaganda and they don't have their own opinion. Russia continued to fire rockets at the Ukrainian infrastructure. They destroying electricity and heating infrastructure. Now we can see rolling power outage all across the country, and the lights were completely turned off in 3 regions of Ukraine, including Kiev. Ukrainian government tried to solve this problem, and they're sending repair teams on all these places, and all repair teams of the country are now active. The nuclear power plants is gradually being withdrawn from emergency mode, because without electricity, even the nuclear power plant cannot work, because they need to cool down the water. Ukraine have a lot of nuclear power plants, and they can solve this problem with electricity and heating. Power plant gives so much energy for the cities, and if they can repair these power plants pretty quickly, this will be very good, and Ukrainians will somehow solve this problem. But rockets are still flying and continuous firing from Russia. They want to destroy all infrastructure, all electricity. But why? Because they're losing this war. They just want to revenge for losing the Kherson city, and they just, I don't know, it's really bad because it's winter coming, and it's really cold in there in Ukraine, and they need heating as much as they never in that year. And it's very bad play because Ukrainian forces are destroying Russian forces, and instead the revenge is that they destroying infrastructure that all a country need. Not only the forces, but citizens of Ukraine need this heating, need this electricity, and they just harm the regular common citizens in the cities all across the country that don't fight with them in the war. And it's not military forces, it's just people. But citizens will handle this because they can charge phones somewhere in the shops, in the places where government give the power to the one place where people can charge phones, where they could do something that when they need electricity and they don't have this at their homes. But what about hospital, about medical this service? People need electricity. And this is really bad how, I don't have other words, how Russian government is reacting to the losing of the war. Loss of electricity is a big problem, but the more problem is heating. Government organized heating points where people can get a minimum package of service for a while. And also this attack is a response for the voting in European Parliament about the resolution of recognition Russia a terrorist state. And this attack is one more confirmation of this resolution is true and Russia is a terrorist state because they're aiming for the citizens, for infrastructure, for people, not only the war objects, military facilities. Not all missiles hit the targets, and some missiles hit the residential building with people, and not only the infrastructure was lost, but a lot of people that didn't do anything. They just live normal life in their apartments, in the flats. Just, it's bad. We need to record the facts of this genocidal type of warfare. Because later, after the war, Russia should compensate all the damage that was dealt to the Ukraine. They already have $300 billion that was frozen in European funds, and they will use that money. My opinion, they will use that money to repair the Ukraine, all these cities, but that money will be not enough because the damage dealt to Ukraine is much more than $300 billion. It's maybe $1 trillion or even more, and the war is not over. We will see later more damage because Russia still have a lot of rockets and they will use it. And the only thing Ukraine need is to win the war. Only this will give the opportunity to get the money from Russia. If they lost the war, they will get nothing from Russia. No contribution, no any payments, nothing. And the situation in Ukraine will be a disaster. There will be no infrastructure, no any production, the economy will be very low. This will be the destroying of the country. If it become one of the region of Russia, this will be very bad. Russia is intentionally doing this, understanding all the consequences of its actions, understanding who exactly it is hitting. I live in Russia, but I totally support Ukraine, Ukrainian government, Ukrainian people in this war. I want them to win this war, even if I will lose a lot in my country, and my country will be in very bad situation, in economy fall, but I cannot do anything to stop this. What I can do? I can go to the street with a poster, no to war, but this will change nothing. The only thing that I will go to the jail for some time, or will get fee. I don't participate in all this support of the war, or in the support of the military people. No, I'm against all of this. The only thing I can do is speak to you through the internet and share my position that not all Russians support the war. A lot of Russians are like me. They are not supporting the war, but they cannot do anything. How we cannot stop this government. I was in the rallies, but I vote against Putin in the voting, but I can't influence the situation in any matter. We should all work together and step by step, providing that in the 21st century such type of a country cannot exist, because it's extremely dangerous, not only with the direct conflict in Ukraine, but also in principle for all other countries, because Russia are destroying the international law as a whole. But we have some progress. 3-4 months ago, it was difficult to expect that European Parliament will vote for a specific legal status for the Russian Federation by almost overwhelming a majority of more than 500 votes against 58. Nato, USA, and other countries who support Ukraine should give more weapons to Ukraine. They need more weapons, more shells, more rockets, more HIMARSes. Everything that they need for winning the war, just give them. And it's very important. It's important not only for Ukraine, for the whole world. Because Russia is dangerous not only to Ukraine. Do you think if Russia will conquer the Ukraine, it will stop? Of course not. Putin is crazy man, and he will go for the next country. I don't know what country that will be. Definitely it will be one of the European countries, or it will be the Kazakhstan, but he will definitely not stop, because he already tastes that he get one territory, and if he get another one, the whole country, he will sense this power. This should be not done. You should not let him do it. So just please give as much weapons as Ukraine need to win this war. It's not only about Ukraine, about the whole world. The key task is both military defeat and the final reputation reset of the Russian regime. If NATO will participate in the conflict, Russia won't last for long. But this is very dangerous, because this crazy old man could use a nuclear weapon to defend his own country. And you should not let him do that. First, you should free the territories that belong to Ukraine. In Crimea, all this Lugansk, Donetsk, all these regions must be returned back to Ukraine. After that, Russia will start to negotiate with Ukraine, with NATO, and they will stop the war, because they don't want to lose their territories, and no one wants that territories. No one wants to go to Russian territory. Just free the Ukrainian territory, and they will not use the nuclear weapon. He's afraid of destroying himself, because if Russia used nuclear weapons, that NATO will use that against Russia, against the Putin himself. And we don't know how Russian nuclear weapon works, because because of this corruption, all these nuclear rockets could be just empty, and they are not working. They will just fly and drop like a regular rocket with no explosion, because all the corruption destroyed Russian military, destroyed Russian economy. There is nothing that works right now in Russia as it should be. All these governors, all these people that work in that military, they all cares about themselves. They all want money, and they get money everywhere they can, from the roads, from equipment, from rockets. Everything is bad, everything is done with the cheap materials, with not paying for the workforce. There are so much options how they steal money from the Russian government, from Russian budget, because all of them are friends of Putin. And why he didn't punish them? Because they are his friends. This power that he has right now is thanks to those friends that on those places, and they make the votings, everything that Putin will be legitimately a president, but no one is voting for him. I know some people that vote for him, but it's because of propaganda. But it's not 80% as it's written on internet, on the voting, or even more. No, of course not. It's about 30% people that are they're not see the whole situation. They watch on TV, they watch propaganda, and they don't have their own opinion. The opinion is the TV that they see in TV. It's not their opinion. People just get it from the TV, from this propaganda is working as much as it was never before. From the morning until evening, you could see propaganda on TV. They're talking about how Ukraine is bad, Nazi, Nato, that we are not fighting with Ukraine, we are fighting with Nato. No, there's no Nato soldiers in this conflict. There are only Ukrainian people that fight for their country. Of course, they use the equipment from NATO, from USA, but it's not the forces of USA. If that was forces and the NATO forces, that will be much harder for Russia to fight in this war, and they will lose a lot more. And right now, I think the war will be end if NATO was fighting in this war. So hit the like, subscribe for more, comment down below what you think about that, share it with your friends. See you in the next video. This was Alex Gray, and goodbye.